Are meditation and mindfulness accepted as a part of public education framework in the USA? If so, are they implemented on a satisfactory level? Can you suggest more effective ways to operate them for our audience here?
Mindfulness is still fairly new to most public schools in the United States. It's growing in popularity and has grown a lot since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I think a gift from the pandemic is that we've all realized that attending to our own emotional well-being and that of our students is really important. In the past, I think academics came first, but now we see that feeling good helps us to be better teachers and helps us to be better learners. So we're adjusting more to that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Megan. That's quite interesting. You mentioned COVID-19 will be blessing for us because the education system slowly accepts this meditation and mindfulness. Yes, mm-hmm. I agree that. In Korea, we also have that kind of opinions and also some trial to introduce meditation and mindfulness in the schools and universities. Thank you very much, Megan. That's a beautiful answer. So now I'd like to ask a question to Susan. You're waiting for us. And are meditation and mindfulness actually being practiced among individuals and at home in the USA? If so, how are they practiced? Would you assess the current status of mindfulness education at schools and homes? You have developed the Inner Kids program, aren't you? Yeah. The first ever mindfulness program in education field. What was the background of developing Inner Kids program? That's the question. And why do we need meditation education for children, educators, and parents?
Yes. Thank you. And first, I want to thank you all for having me. It's such an honor to be sharing a screen, I guess, with Megan and all the wonderful work that Megan and her organization, Mindful Schools, have done here in the United States and abroad. So it's just a privilege to be with her on the screen. And Venerable, it's wonderful to meet with you. And I hear you are also doing strong work in Korea. And I really look forward to learning more about that. So first, just let me thank you so much for having me. I believe the first question was what's happening here in the US with mindfulness and families at home, and what does that look like? And generally speaking, it's similar to schools. I mean, often now children will learn some mindfulness activities or some mindful games or some mindful songs, and they will bring them home. We hear wonderful, wonderful stories of parents who are all stressed out and upset in the front seat during traffic, and the children in the back seat giving them mindful prompts to help them settle and calm themselves. Mm-hmm. And as wonderful and as fun as it is when the children introduce mindfulness to their parents, we still encourage parents to practice on their own so that they can actually embody this for their kids. Similar to what Megan was saying about their emphasis being on teachers, we believe that if parents learn the practice themselves, that there'll be a ripple effect, and that the benefit of their own practice will ripple out without really having to do anything special to affect the entire system in their family, their children, their spouses, their friends, the community. With respect to the Inner Kids program, I began developing mindful games for kids when my grown children were little. That was long ago. They're now 30 years old and 27 years old. And I was a practicing lawyer at the time, and I was a meditator, and I found that meditation was helpful for me in many, many ways, including in the areas of concentration, grounding, and balance. And at that time, there wasn't a secular program really out there for children. And so I took some of the activities or practices that I learned as an adult and just experimented on my children. They were my guinea pigs, and that is the beginning of Inner Kids and of the activities. Since that time, I have been working with schools and with parents and with families around the world. It's been about 25 years, and we're pleased to say that the Inner Kids program is one of the first programs in education. There was research published on, peer-reviewed research published, which now is quite some time ago. So that is the arc of the Inner Kids program. And last, mindfulness meditation's effectiveness and the necessity for children and educators and parents in terms of attention, concentration, sense of balance, et cetera, on the educational level. I think Megan has been, Megan's organization and what she was saying earlier is a great example of how, especially since the pandemic, there has been a shift in a real understanding that mindfulness actually needs to come first before learning. It is very difficult, if not impossible, to learn when your nervous system is on high alert and when you're feeling guarded or armored. And mindfulness helps you to settle, to help you open your perspective, to help you have a wider perspective and be able to see or be more aware of what's happening within and around you more clearly and less reactively.
Thank you, Suzanne. It was so wonderful. You relate to your own story, how you applied to yourself first mindfulness and compassion and this meditation, and also you try to adapt to your own family. That I think is quite ideal and quite wise approach. Yeah, and you slowly expand to this your school and added that peer review, actual research, scientific research, and as a result, you get this kind of wonderful system, mindful education in USA. Thank you very much. There's a lot of insight, wisdom we may learn from you. Thank you. We are doing our best to bring meditation to help people's well-being, but we struggle, still struggle. We don't know how to deal with this misunderstandings, and people see it as a part of religion because of its root. I wonder if I can get some insight and wisdom on how you successfully brought it into the public education system, the mindfulness and meditation. Susan, would you please answer this question, if you could? So I will ask a question. How have you brought meditation into your home to your children and yourselves? How do you practice it daily? It's again repeated, a little bit repetition, but related to the religion. I heard that you're a Buddhist practitioner, but apart from your own religion, you just teach mindfulness and meditation in secular setting.
Well, I have been very fortunate. Thank you for asking. I've been very fortunate to have a combination of factors. One is I practiced law. When I started this program, I was a practicing lawyer, and I was a lawyer for about 20 years before I started doing this work full time. And so I was quite aware of the importance of secularizing all of the work that we were doing. And it would have been important to me too. I would not have been comfortable if in my children's public school or private school classrooms, if other teachers were coming in, introducing them to religion in that context. So it was extremely important to me, and I had some experience in looking at things in that way from a legal perspective. And so I was very lucky that with that. I've also been very lucky in that my primary meditation teacher is Mingyur Rinpoche, who is a teacher who has a extensive secular program, The Joy of Living. So I've had a Buddhist teacher who models secular teaching clearly and simply for daily life. So the combination of those two things, I was just lucky that I had a course kind of charted through me, for me through these life events.
I appreciate your approach because if you would like to introduce meditation, mindfulness in public school, they should be secular, non-religious. I fully agree. And you are lucky because you get some teaching from Mingyur Rinpoche. And here, his teaching, secular program, is quite popular in Korea as well. So I'm happy to hear that. One more question to Megan. What kind of struggles you had to make meditation as part of public education system? It's quite similar question, but I'd like to hear from Susan as well, and Megan as well. What policy and whose help did you need in the process?
Thank you for the question. In the United States, we don't have a policy yet that says that mindfulness is a part of education. So we have been connecting our mindfulness in a lot of ways to a larger movement in the United States under the umbrella of social emotional learning. So showing the connection of mindfulness to other strategies for supporting students' social and emotional development. So that's where we kind of connect the most in the United States, I'd say. Similar to what Susan said, it is really important that we train the teachers around what mindfulness is and what its origins are, actually, so that they understand what is secular mindfulness versus what is something that could be reflective of religion and of a Buddhist religion. So it's important for us to train the educators to understand and differentiate between why ringing a singing bowl, for example, might be more challenging than creating a sound in a different way. I guess my final answer, or part of my answer, would be instead of focusing on, so once we understand the religious origins or some of the origins of mindfulness, then we really focus on the neurobiology or the impact of mindfulness on our body and our minds and focus it through that lens. And there's a lot of great science and research that supports us to understand how mindfulness supports us to calm down, to ground, to do all the things that are so important. So we tend to focus on the science side of it and on what's happening in our physical bodies and to help to teach it through that lens.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. That's quite useful. And also that singing bowl things reminds me of when I was giving my program, Heart to Smile training at Harvard Medical School a few years ago. I was using my singing bowl. And after the session, the director of the Center for Mindfulness and Compassion, Jeff, approached me. This is quite religious because people wouldn't accept this. So I said that when I teach here, I would not use if it is religious, they feel. After 3 years, I went again. I taught, no problem, they say. So I was surprised to see big change. So change will bring our genuine affect and a genuine attitude to bring goodness from meditation. I mean, it is ancient tradition, ancient wisdom, but you extract the good qualities, virtues, and apply in school setting. So I think you are all doing very well, and we're going to learn a lot from you. Thank you. Thank you very much. For now, I think we move on to quickly that questions from online There are two questions on the live chat. I'm going to pass them to Megan and Susan to answer them. The first question, I think, is to Megan. I'll read it through. In Korea, we are actually doing mindfulness program at school for kids. And I think, especially as teachers, we need a program too. But in real life, schools think that it is only for kids with this kind of issues. To change this perception, how should we approach? This is the question to Megan.
That's a great question. I'd say that the main answer is that teachers' nervous systems are one of the greatest interventions we have for creating safe and inclusive classrooms. I'll wait. Pause. So we as mammals we mirror the energy and the feelings around us. So if a teacher is upset or isn't able to calm down, that affects their students really deeply. The same thing, the reverse is also true. If a teacher is grounded and calm and they are feeling good, their energy, their nervous system actually helps to calm the rest of their kids down. So it is a really, really important thing that teachers are given this practice.
Oh, thank you very much, Megan. That reminds me that the word called neuroperception. Recently, I read Lisa Barrett's book, How Emotion is Made. So that exactly says that you're the effect, kind of effect, makes a social reality. And if you have a happy mood, feeling tone, then exactly the students will affected by, because of neuroperception is immediately affect without going through this brain processing. So I fully agree that. That's a wonderful answer. Thank you. I think the second question to Susan, I will read it through for you. What is the easiest and simplest way to jump into mindfulness and meditation right now in daily life? It's a kind of Koreanish question. We need this direct way, simple way. Would you please, Susan, answer this question?
Well, thank you for that question. I love practical questions. They fit in very well with my background. Well, one of the things that I truly believe from the bottom of my heart is that what makes a mindful school and what makes a mindful family and what makes a mindful community, and how do you tell whether any of these entities are mindful, is how the people within those communities treat one another. So for me, the most practical way to start right away to introduce a more mindful worldview into your home or your school is to really learn to settle. As Megan was saying, our nervous systems have a ripple effect, and that will move on. And to be able to pause and to be able to just be with what's happening in the moment with an attitude of kindness and curiosity. And to really bring that kind spirit and playfulness. We often lose the idea of playfulness and joy when we're working with children, which is a shame. So to be able to bring an attitude of curiosity and playfulness and allowing and just making space to drop these brief moments of awareness into your day with this kind way of being. It's as simple as that. It's truly as simple as that.
Thank you very much, Susan. It's a wonderful answer, especially kindness to yourself and others. And curiosity, ask some questions, witty questions, joyful questions, and make a room between us. I think that is the quote, the concept, method of mindfulness at present moment, a wonderful moment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.